watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live at 4 on this Monday. Hope you had a nice weekend. Did you have a good one?
It was really good. You know, it was cold and windy out, but the sunshine felt nice.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank
to
you. Good
Missed
to be
you.
back. Thank you. It's good to be back. And thank you to Sarah Carlson, who filled in for me all week last week. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we had some fun. Did you avoid the weather when you were coming back? All that snow outies.
I was down south, but it was chilly.
Yeah.
We missed the snow.
Oh, that's good.
But it was still on the chilly side. And here we brushed off a little dusting of snow this morning.
Yeah, we're not doing too bad. Now we have chances of snow through this week and the start of next week.
Meteorologist Jacob Montesano is here with how much snow we could get and what temperatures are going to do. I can't believe this, Jacob. It's the last week of February already.
Yeah, we wake up this time tomorrow. It'll be March 2nd, if you can believe it, which means spring is right around the corner, but temperatures aren't really looking like it. It was much warmer last week than it will be over the next week or so. Right now, current temperature in Madison is 27. A few areas in the lower 30s, 32 in Sauk City, so a little bit warmer compared to yesterday, but still relatively below average. Not by a big margin, but the average high is in the middle 30s this time of the year. We'll be kind of around that level over the next 10 days. Nothing too far above or below it. There will be one brief warm-up day, but the big reason that today is not as bad as yesterday is because the winds are much calmer. So even with the temperatures being warmer, it also feels just a lot better without those winds gusting, and they were up to around 25 to 30 miles per hour yesterday. Now, as we head into the overnight hours, we're going to see temperatures dropping into the teens, pretty normal for this time of year, and then tomorrow we'll see warmer temperatures back into the 30s consistently, but we also see a chance of snow, and that will lead to a few other chances of snowfall before the week is over. So I'll talk more in detail about all of that coming up a little bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. We start today with growing concerns at Madison East High School. Right now, only on News 3 Now, a mom is telling us staff fed her son, who is autistic, dog food instead of school lunch.
Our Tanasia Shaw is here with more. And Tanasia, we understand that the student involved is nonverbal.
Yes, the mom told me staff gave her 15-year-old son a can of dog food. Now she wants to hold staff at Madison East accountable, and Madison school officials are also speaking out. According to the mom, Deborah Hawks, staff accidentally gave her 15-year-old son a can of dog food for lunch. Jaden Hawks is a freshman at East, and he's nonverbal and he has autism. After visiting the school for several days in a row, Deborah says the teacher that gave her son the food is now fired. Deborah doesn't understand how this happened, and she doesn't think that this was a mistake.
And then when you give it to him, you give an autistic child a can that he could cut himself with a plastic fork and a can. You might as well gave him a metal fork if you're gonna give him a metal can. How is that an accident?
Now, we won't name the staff member involved because Madison School District did not confirm their involvement. The district told me that they can't comment on this situation because of privacy, but they do take all safety concerns seriously.
Tanasia, thank you. We're bringing you updates to a story we first brought you this morning about shots fired in the town of Blooming Grove. The Dane County Sheriff's Office has now confirmed someone shot a Madison man last night at about 7:30. The 24-year-old victim was driving south on Gannon Avenue, just north of Starkweather Park, when a car sped up behind him. As the victim tried to turn right, he was hit by gunfire and his vehicle crashed. The condition of the victim is unclear, but he was taken to UW Hospital for treatment. The Dane County Sheriff's Office is now asking anyone with information to call them or Madison area Crime Stoppers.
The U.S. Embassy in Mexico is telling American tourists who are stranded in that country to continue sheltering in place. It comes after Mexican special forces killed the leader of that country's most powerful drug cartel. The drug kingpin known as El Mencho is the boss of a criminal network known for drug trafficking in the U.S. Mexico says U.S. forces did not participate in the El Mencho operation, although the U.S. government has been known to share intelligence and resources with Mexico to fight cartels.
This was one of the most significant actions undertaken in the history of drug trafficking, almost at the same level as Chapo Guzman.
Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department warned Americans to stay inside, and this is affecting Wisconsinites who travel to Puerto Vallarta. Members of the Hilltopper Rotary Club in Onalaska, which is by La Crosse, were in Mexico for a water filter distribution project. They woke up to car fires and military helicopters, and now they are sheltering in place at their resort.
Saw a couple fires, smoke, and in the air, and didn't think much of it. Saw a gentleman who had come up to us, and he's saying, "Vámonos, vámonos, go, go." So I hightailed it back. Came back to kind of see what's happening in the hotel. There wasn't really anybody saying anything, but you could see and sense something was happening.
The Rotary members were supposed to return yesterday, but flights are canceled. The U.S. Embassy is providing updates on the situation. The killing of El Mencho could lead to more unrest as rival gangs challenge each other for control. And we'll have more on this story coming up later on Live at 4.
The Supreme Court struck down some of President Trump's tariffs late last week. So now the question is, will that lower prices?
Consumer reporter Michelle Renee Quinn shares where consumers might see some relief.
Major U.S. companies continue to pass tariff costs on to consumers. The Supreme Court ruling applies only to products tariffed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Now, that includes apparel, electronics, toys and sporting goods, smartphones, coffee from places like Brazil, and beef products. The ruling shields U.S. taxpayers from those larger tax increases and wipes out nearly 3/4 of the new tax revenue the Trump administration expected. But many other tariffs and import taxes remain. With President Trump's new tariff move after this ruling, there's still a lot of uncertainty.
My hope is that this decision stops the chaos in how these tariffs are being implemented, because business needs stability, trade needs stability.
President Trump has announced another 10% tariff on steel, lumber, copper, and auto parts for 150 days unless Congress extends it, on top of existing tariffs on many Chinese imports that already raise prices. The uncertainty is shaking global markets. European stocks opened lower, and EU lawmakers plan an emergency meeting on whether to suspend the U.S.-EU trade deal. The bottom line is tariffs are still here, so consumers will keep paying more overall, but this ruling should offer some relief. Economists are also pointing out the refund process for companies that already paid these tariffs remains unclear.
Thank you, Michelle Renee. And you can join Michelle Renee each Saturday and Sunday anchoring weekend mornings. Next on Live at 4, this may be the last week of Black History Month, but a group of women in our community is making sure that education is accessible all year long.
And then more than 40 million Americans are sitting under blizzard warnings as the nor'easter hits the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. We'll look at which areas will be hardest hit.
It's Public Education Week this week, a time to celebrate the contributions of those in our education system, but it's also a time to hear their concerns. Our Maya Tate has that story.
Plus, Jacob is looking at our first warn forecast with some snow on the way and one day in the 10-day jumping to 50 degrees. How about that?
From News 3 Now, this is breaking news.
Breaking news today at 4, police are responding to an address on Hayes Road on the northeast side of Madison.
Madison police say a person has barricaded themselves inside a room there. The person inside the room is accused of battering a woman earlier today. Now, this is an active scene, and we will be following it throughout the day, both on air and online, always at channel3000.com. It is a big day today in the 608. We're kicking off the Spirit of Service 2026.
Josh Sprider is in Barneveld with how you can support veterans in the community.
We are looking for veterans doing amazing things in our communities as our Spirit of Service 2026 is officially underway. News 3 Now is partnering up with Vortex Optics, and Kelly Nossinger is joining us to talk a little bit more about the process. Kelly, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Josh. We're so excited for another year of Spirit of Service and just happy to be a part of this.
And this is year number 4, and year after year, this continues to grow. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think people have just, recognized that there's so many incredible veterans in their own communities that have served our country, but now come back and they are just doing amazing things within their own communities. And it's honestly an honor to be able to recognize them and be a part of that.
And what's so amazing is it's our News 3 Now viewers that get to be part of this process. They are the ones that are nominating, voting, and that officially kicks off today. So how does this work?
Yeah, so like you said, nominations kick off today. We have a couple weeks worth of nominations being open. When nominations close, we have a committee here at Vortex that we review every single nomination. It is such a tough job because there's so many amazing nominations, but we have to narrow down to 5, and we bring that 5 back to all of you at Channel 3 to vote, and you help us pick the recipient for the award and the $5,000 check.
And these stories are incredible, and I'll be able to introduce the folks to these people because they all are doing amazing things, whether that's nonprofits, organizations. They've started these incredible processes because their service did not stop when they ended way back when.
Correct, and that's what we love to highlight and honor and recognize. These people have given so much of their lives to service for our country, and like you said, that doesn't end. That's a part of who they are, and they come back and they're doing incredible work within their own communities, and we're just happy to honor that and recognize that.
And this is starting to grow in the community too, because last year we doubled our nomination number from the year before. So I'm excited just to see how far we can take it this year.
Absolutely. No, we're so excited too. So happy to be a part of this and excited for another year of Spirit of Service.
Yeah, here's to 2026. Kellen, thank you so much for having us out.
Thanks,
we appreciate it. Again, you can go to channel3000.com, click on the Nominate a Veteran at the top of the page for that Spirit of Service tab, and you will be part of this process. You have plenty of time to nominate before we narrow it down and eventually vote for that top veteran that'll take that $5,000 award home. In Barneveld, I'm Josh Breiter, News 3 Now.
We're proud to be part of this campaign. Thank you, Josh. And you can watch Josh every weekday morning in the 608 and also at noon right here on Channel 3.
Well, somehow it's the last full week of February and just 24 days until spring, but winter's not done with us yet. What can we expect, Jacob?
Yeah, we're going to see a few chances of snowfall this week, but after that snowfall, we'll see a pretty dramatic but brief warm-up for Friday before we do see general cool temperatures over the next 10 days. With most days, we're going to see highs in the 30s and 20s. Let's start with that snowfall. We are going to see clouds increase overnight. Still may see some clear skies at times. And then as we get towards Tuesday, especially later in the morning Tuesday, this round of snow will move in, especially impacting areas north of Madison. Although we're not expecting a ton of snow, accumulation around a ½ inch for areas north of Madison, just about a dusting for Madison and surrounding areas. Places to the south may not see any snow at all. Then as we get towards the overnight hours, Tuesday into Wednesday, we'll actually see the clouds clear up with a lot of clear skies and sunshine early in the day Wednesday. We will see the clouds re-enter our area once we get toward the afternoon and evening. And then here comes the second chance of snow. Kind of opposite of tomorrow's chance, where the best chance will be for areas to the south, more specifically to the southwest, but the heaviest snow in general will stay south of Wisconsin across parts of Illinois and Iowa. But for those of you in the southwestern portion of Wisconsin, you folks will likely see some snowfall. Madison surrounding areas just going to see that chance, as it does look like the northern edge of the system will be right around Dane County, so it'll be kind of hit or miss for Madison. And then this is mostly going to be Wednesday night, kind of starting Wednesday evening, but especially Wednesday night, and then we may see some lingering flurries Thursday morning, but most of Thursday should be pretty dry. Now, as far as accumulation goes, that first round, again, not going to produce much, but it will bring snowfall, at least a better chance of snow for areas north of Madison. Then including the second chance, we could see around 1 to 3, maybe even as much as 4 inches for some locations. And if the track of the system does bring it a bit further north, we may see some very minor accumulation here in Madison. Now, looking at the snow chances overall over the next 7 days, we are going to see the snow chances increase again for Sunday and Sunday night, but we will be dry to end the work week. Now, as we take a look at the full 10-day forecast, a lot of days will feature highs in the 30s, but then there's Friday just kind of sitting here where the high will be 51. Now, a big reason for that is we will see some breezy conditions that day, but unlike the other days we see breezy weather, Friday the winds will be out of the south. But again, beyond that, a lot of winter-like temperatures continuing, but nothing too bitterly cold. A lot of highs in the 20s and 30s with the lows in the teens and 20s.
Thank you, Jacob. See, we saved a little bit of winter for you on your
thanks
return.
so much.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, many across the nation and world are now facing uncertainty as President Trump is now raising tariffs on every country after the Supreme Court struck down some of his previous tariffs.
And then thousands of Americans have been told to shelter in place as violence erupts across Mexico following the killing of a cartel leader. When the stranded could be coming home when we come back.
Plus, it's a silent killer, and many people with it don't even know they have it. We're learning more about the risk factors and what to be cautious of when it comes to chronic kidney disease.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Here's a look at the numbers on Wall Street today. The markets are down sharply amid uncertainty over the global tariff situation. The Dow lost 821 points. The Nasdaq is down 258. The S&P 500 lost 71. Thousands of Americans in Mexico are being told to shelter in place after a drug cartel leader was killed over the weekend.
As Karen Hua reports from Mexico City, 25 members of the National Guard have reportedly been killed in attacks following his death.
Chaos hit the streets of Puerto Vallarta, the Mexican state of Jalisco, and beyond Sunday, as Mexico's most notorious drug cartel fiercely retaliated after soldiers killed their leader, Nemesio Ruben Ascuera Cervantes, widely known as El Mencho. Ascuera Cervantes was wounded during an operation to capture him in Jalisco and died while being flown to Mexico City. The cartel he led has the highest cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine trafficking capacity in Mexico, according to the U.S. State Department, which had previously offered up to $15 million for his capture. The violence also hit Jalisco's capital, Guadalajara, just a few months before Mexico's second largest city is scheduled to host FIFA World Cup matches.
Activamos el código rojo.
In response, Jalisco's governor activated a code red security alert, suspending public transit, large events, and school activities as authorities across Mexico race to clear more than 250 roadblocks created by the cartel.
We don't know if we're safe. We don't know if they're going to cancel the flight.
Olga Medina saw smoke rising over Puerto Vallarta from the airport Sunday. She ultimately did make it home to Houston before airlines grounded flights in and out of the resort town.
I feel safe now, but I'm still shaking because I can't believe this has happened to us.
Others were not so fortunate. Adrian Moorfield and TJ Perry went to Puerto Vallarta to celebrate Perry's birthday. They were supposed to fly home to Dallas Sunday. Now they're stranded.
You're kind of there indefinitely.
There were no outgoing flights until Thursday. That does not take into consideration whether or not roads will even be open, the airport will be operating again.
It's worth noting that the Trump administration has previously threatened to use the U.S. military to target Mexican drug cartels. And while this specific case was a Mexican military operation, the American government regularly shares intel and resources with Mexico to counter cartels. Karen Hua, CBS News, Mexico City.
And Mexican authorities now say those hundreds of cartel roadblocks are now clear. Well, we've had one of the least snowy Februaries on record here in Madison. More than 41 million people today are under blizzard warnings along the East Coast. A historic nor'easter is bringing busy cities to a halt. New York City hasn't seen a storm like this in a decade, with up to 2 feet of snow expected there. More than 10,000 flights have been grounded since yesterday, and even more delays and cancellations are expected tomorrow.
More than 1 in 7 U.S. adults are estimated to have chronic kidney disease.
And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say as many as 90% of them have no idea they have it. When left untreated, this condition can cause irreversible damage, sometimes even death.
In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains how to know if you're at risk and what to do about it.
It's called the silent killer, Chronic kidney disease can progress before it's ever detected.
We've got an epidemic of kidney disease in this country.
Dr. Samir Parikh with the American Society of Nephrology says kidneys play a crucial role in the body and are closely linked to the heart since they constantly filter and clean blood. But when those filters are damaged, it can also strain the heart, and they don't regenerate.
So the filters we're born with have to last us our lifetime.
Parikh says conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and obesity can cause permanent damage to the kidneys, and as it's happening, there's often no pain.
The conditions wind up being very asymptomatic until you get to advanced stages. And even then, the symptoms can just be nonspecific, like fatigue or loss of appetite.
That's why Parikh says if you have risk factors or a family history of kidney disease, it's critical to get your numbers checked.
There's one test that tests how much filtering your kidneys are doing. That's a blood test. And there's another test that asks, are these filters becoming leaky or not working well? That's a urine test.
Parikh says early detection and treatment of kidney disease can significantly slow and even stop damage before it's too late.
Don't wait for symptoms.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And Dr. Parikh says you can also take care of your kidneys by doing the same kinds of things that keep your heart healthy, including a healthy diet, low in sodium, and rich in whole foods, vegetables, and lean proteins. Coming up on Live at 4, we have an update from Public Health Madison-Dane County about measles exposure sites in Madison.
And then more and more schools are going to referendum in our state to stay open. We look at how schools in our area are handling funding issues.
And Black History Month is winding down, but a group of women in our area are launching an effort to educate every day of the year.
But first, Jacob has the first warn forecast as we are looking at some possible wintry mixes this week.
From News 3 Now, this is breaking news.
Good afternoon. We have breaking news today at 4. Police are responding to an address on Hayes Road on the northeast side of Madison.
Police say a person has barricaded themselves inside a room at that address. The person inside the room is accused of battering a woman earlier today. This is an active scene, and we have a crew on the way. We'll continue to follow this story all day here and on channel3000.com, and we'll bring you any updates as soon as we get them. An update now on a story that we first brought you this morning about shots fired in the town of Blooming Grove. The Dane County Sheriff's Office has now confirmed that a Madison man was shot last night around 7:30. The 24-year-old victim was driving south on Gannon Avenue, just north of Starkweather Park, when a car sped up behind him. And as the victim tried to turn right, he was hit by gunfire and his vehicle crashed. The condition of the victim is unclear, but he was taken to UW Hospital for treatment. The Dane County Sheriff's Office is now asking anyone with information to please call them or Madison Area Crime Stoppers.
A family and their dog are safe, but they're out of their home after a fire on Madison's southeast side yesterday afternoon. Crews were called to Valor Way, just north of McFarland, at about 4:30. When they got there, they could see smoke rising out of the home and saw fire from the first floor window. Crews put out the fire quickly and released the family's dog into the backyard safely. Nobody was home during the fire, but the home was significantly damaged.
A threat that prompted a shelter-in-place and evacuation order during a college track meet on Saturday has now been deemed a swatting call. At UW Parkside in Kenosha, officials sent out an alert telling people to evacuate or shelter in place. The Kenosha County Sheriff's Office, along with many other agencies, responded and did a sweep of the campus, and officials later determined the threat was fake and there was no active danger. Campus fully reopened about 3 hours after that alert went out. It's unclear whether police know who made that swatting call.
And let's take a look at the weather words today. Oh, open water out there.
Yeah, the ice is fading fast. It was nice to see the sun today. We're thinking about all of our friends and family on the East Coast. I have a lot of family in the Philadelphia area, and wow, they got walloped today. But the weather words for us, a wintry mix is expected tomorrow. This is a live look, by the way, at Lake Mendota from Tenney Park. That's a pretty view.
I love that area. All right, Jacob, what's in store for us?
Well, we are going to see small chances of some of that precipitation. Nothing is expected to be too big, even if the track of the system falls perfectly to the point where we could see some minor snow accumulation. So nothing too big. And as far as temperatures, they're not going to change too dramatically either. Right now, we're in the upper 20s, certainly on the colder side. And across the area, there are a few locations in the lower 30s, but also a few locations still close to that upper teen range. Now, we are a little bit warmer than yesterday, not by a ton, but it feels a lot better considering the winds are a lot calmer. Yesterday we had some breezy conditions all day. Today the wind's a lot better. We've also seen a lot more sunshine today. And right now you may see some light blue on the radar. Not actually seeing any flurries out there, and we're not expecting anything for at least another 12 to 18 hours. We will begin to see some of that snowfall that's expected tomorrow to move in a little bit later in the morning, but the round of snow tomorrow will be very brief, and most of the area won't see any accumulation, and parts of the area may not see any snow, period. But places off to the north, maybe about an inch or two. That's the max. That's the higher ends. More likely to see around that half-inch to full-inch range. Madison probably just going to see a dusting at most. But then we have another chance of snowfall later Wednesday into Wednesday night. So I'll talk more in detail about that and show you the temperature forecast for the next several days coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. The Department of Public Instruction has officially declared this week Public Schools Week as questions regarding funding continue.
Our Maya Tate has more on how this affects school districts. Maya.
Well, Brady and Susan, this week, Wisconsin is recognizing and honoring everyone who works in education. And it comes at a time when support for schools is under increased debate. Right now, Governor Tony Evers and the legislature seem to be at a standstill with how to move forward. The governor's $1.3 billion proposal includes more money for public schools, along with property tax relief. Local districts are concerned about having to ask taxpayers to vote yes on never-ending operational referendums.
If you have a no vote on an operational referendum, it's pretty catastrophic for a school district to not have that money. And that means budget reductions and cuts to programming, services, and staffing.
Local school districts are hoping for a bipartisan compromise. The assembly session ended last Friday without finishing this conversation. To support your local schools, you can always engage in activities held in your community or even just say thank you the next time you see a public school employee.
Good advice. Thank you, Maya. Well, in an update, Public Health Madison and Dane County says all community exposure locations connected to the Dane County measles case have expired. It also reports no new cases have been reported.
Construction has started back up on two streets around the Capitol Square. East Main and South Hancock are closed for underground infrastructure work. East Main will be closed to through traffic between South Webster and South Franklin streets. South Hancock will be closed between East Wash and East Main. The South Hancock Street cul-de-sac will also be closed. The full project is expected to be completed by June 25th.
In western Wisconsin, the Lansing car ferry is temporarily out of service there. Officials say they closed the service due to a heavy ice flow coming down the river. In a Facebook post, the Department of Transportation has not provided an exact timeline, but says the ferry will reopen as soon as conditions allow for safe operation.
President Trump is doubling down on tariffs after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against him.
Political reporter Ellie LaLiberte spoke with Wisconsin farmers today about how the president's reaction could affect them.
After the Supreme Court ruling that wiped out some of President Donald Trump's tariffs, he announced he'd be raising global tariffs to 15%. But what does that mean for Wisconsin farmers? Well, the answer I keep getting is uncertainty.
So trying to get back into that rebuilding mode right now.
Darren Van Ruden is the president of the Wisconsin Farmers Union and a dairy farmer himself. He says because of tariffs, farmers have received less money for the products they produce, but at the same time have to pay more for what they need to make those products.
There are a bunch of the inputs that farmers have, like seed, fertilizer, equipment, parts, labor, anything that had aluminum and steel in it. Those were all cost us more last year.
He says now he's trying to lock in prices ahead of the upcoming growing season.
But, that gets real hard to do when there's so much uncertainty.
Reporting in Juneau County, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Ellie. The president raised the tariffs using a specific section of the Trade Act of 1974, and the tariffs can only remain in effect for 150 days.
The TSA says its pre-check program will stay operational despite an earlier announcement from the Department of Homeland Security claiming the service would shut down during the partial government shutdown. Officials say operations will be evaluated case by case if staffing shortages develop. It's still unclear whether global entry would be affected. Meanwhile, TSA has suspended courtesy escorts, including those for members of Congress, as the shutdown, now in its second week, continues without a funding agreement.
Well, next on Live at 4, for many families, the cost of college can feel out of reach. And for some Black students, the challenges go beyond tuition. We'll tell you how one organization is working to break that cycle with scholarships, mentorship, and early literacy programs for children of color.
Leaders say the goal is to ease financial stress so students can focus on growth, opportunity, and success, how they're planting the seeds for confidence and achievement.
And then a story that will get everyone into the Girl Scout cookie season. We'll hear about a little girl who sold enough cookies that if you stacked the boxes flat, it would be nearly 3 miles high.
And that's just what I ordered. A wintry mix is expected for tomorrow, what we will see. And is there another snow or rain chance on the way? Jacob tells us in our first warn forecast.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
We were talking about that snow on the East Coast earlier. Here's a live picture from Fall River, Massachusetts. Heavy snow continues to fall as the nor'easter, the big blizzard there, continues to hit the East Coast. An interesting factoid about Fall River, it's known for its Halloween traditions. One home in town says they get over 2,000 trick-or-treaters every year.
Good thing it's not Halloween right now.
Yes. Yeah, they're going to get a couple of feet, I think, in the Boston area.
Yeah, we've lucked out so far. Well, it's the last week of Black History Month, but a group of women is opening doors for students of color all year long.
Our Michelle Renee Quinn shows us how Women in Focus is helping fund the future through scholarships and literacy programs.
For many families, the cost of higher education is a defining barrier. For Black students, that barrier intersects with broader inequities in resources, support, and opportunity. Women in Focus sees its scholarships as a critical tool to disrupt that cycle.
Our scholarships are like a catalyst, if you will. They really open doors of opportunities by alleviating that financial burden.
With a lack of resources such as mental health and mentorships, Women in Focus helps remove that financial barrier and attempts to bridge those inequities to students.
And when you take away that financial burden, students are able to open up more. They're able to open up to their creative potential. They're able to open up to more risk-taking and experiencing more out of their academic journey, so they're not worrying so much about how am I going to make these ends meet.
Scholarships are just one piece of the puzzle. Women in Focus also invest early in the literacy of children of color by working directly with parents and young mothers on reading with their children.
Getting books into the hands of children and working with parents and community members to continue to push reading on young children. Because if we can plant that seed early, we know that that confidence is going to build over time. And that confidence then is going to lead to the expectation of, I deserve more education. I deserve higher achievement in my life. And that does start with literacy.
Adney says Black History Month isn't just about celebrating Blackness or being Black.
It's about Black students sharing with all Americans their identity, their culture, their history, and just our shared American experience.
She shares this message to young Black scholars.
See your legacy, own it, take it with you, and just keep going. Keep growing, keep learning, keep being hungry for opportunity and self-exploration and for helping others and giving back to your community, giving to yourself and giving to others, and taking the time to celebrate yourself. And in that celebration, let other people be a part of it.
Let's check in with Jacob in the first warn forecast. Clouds are expected to move in this evening ahead of our latest wintry mix. What can we expect?
Well, you can expect 2 rounds of light snowfall the next couple of days. Tomorrow during the day and then Wednesday night. The Wednesday night system does look to be a little bit bigger, though. Now, as far as temperatures goes, we'll see a brief warm up for Friday. But beyond that, highs are going to continue to be in the 30s and in some cases the 20s going forward. Now let's take a look at the snowfall chances. Clear skies right now, cloudy skies overnight into tomorrow morning. And then once we get towards the late morning and early afternoon, we'll see this round of snowfall move through. Very light and quick snow, maybe about a ½ inch to a full inch of accumulation for areas further to the north. Nothing more than a dusting at most for Madison, and places south may not see any snowfall at all tomorrow. Then we will see the clouds clear up for Tuesday night into Wednesday. Wednesday will actually feature plenty of sunshine. But then as we get towards the evening, the clouds will increase, and here comes the second round of snow. And unlike tomorrow's snowfall, the best chance of snow for Wednesday evening and Wednesday night will be for areas south of Madison. More specifically in southwest Wisconsin, where some light accumulation is possible in the form of around 1 to 3 inches of snowfall accumulation. And the track of the system continues to change a little bit. If it drifts further south, we'll see less snow. If it drifts further north, we could be talking about maybe some light accumulation across Madison. Now, Dane County will likely still see some snow, but the heaviest will stay to the south and southwest of Madison. And this is mostly going to be between sunset Wednesday and sunrise Thursday, with most of Thursday looking pretty dry. Now, as we take a look at the wind gust forecast, this is going to be a big factor in the temperatures the next couple of days. Winds will increase tomorrow, mostly out of the south, so it will be a little bit warmer. Then they're going to drift out of the northwest for Wednesday, cooling the temperatures down a bit. Calm for Thursday before picking back up for Friday. And then Friday, as I mentioned earlier, will be the warm day over the next 10. And that's because the winds will be out of the south once again, gusting up near 30 to 35 miles per hour. So looking at the next 10 days, outside of Friday, it is going to stay cool, but Friday is especially looking mild with highs back in the lower 50s for a lot of the area, but we're going to cool down very quickly after that. By the time we get to early next week, we could be talking about highs back in the 20s, and that will also be our next chance of snow. So some breezy conditions the next couple of days. We'll bounce the temperatures up and down a little bit. Again, outside of Friday, it's still going to feel a lot like winter, with these overnight lows still in the teens and 20s going forward.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Speaking of weather, the First Warn Weather Team has been working on an informative weather special. It's time to get ready for severe weather. It'll be here before we know it. This special features how watches and warnings are issued, the latest research on southern Wisconsin's severe weather season, what goes into issuing alert days, and how the First Warn Weather Team conducts severe weather drills, and much more. The special airs Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m.
Lawmakers in the state assembly passed a bill that would no longer allow soft drinks or candy to be purchased using SNAP funds. Assembly Bill 180 would require the Department of Health Services to seek any necessary waiver to prohibit the purchase of candy or soft drinks with food share benefits. Representative Clint Moses is a co-sponsor of the bill that passed Friday.
We already banned alcohol and tobacco, for instance, for purchase with SNAP benefits. Why are we allowing people to buy food that's absolute poor for their health?
18 other states have signed comparable policies into law. Opponents of the bill say this limits options for people living in poverty. The bill is now on its way to the Senate for further consideration. It's not likely Governor Tony Evers would sign the bill if it makes it to his desk. Well, you have 5 days left to nominate your favorite restaurants, businesses, and people for Madison Magazine's Best of Madison. Just go to channel3000.com and you can write in your nomination in each category. You can nominate once a day. The last day to nominate is this Saturday.
Well, the city of Pittsburgh honored a 6-year-old girl whose cookie selling campaign, you may have seen this, it's gone viral now.
Yeah, look at this. The mayor designated Friday, February 20th as Pim Neal Day. Neal has officially sold more than 117,000 boxes of cookies. That's a lot of milk, thanks to a number of videos posted to social media. She even sold 20,000 boxes in just one day. Neal now has her eye on the career record of boxes sold by one Girl Scout, which is about 180,000. And she's also sold so many boxes that you could stack them all as high as the Burj Khalifa 5 times.
She couldn't be cuter either.
Yeah, good for her. I love seeing that. Well, coming up after the break, we're covering the most important stories of the day on the afternoon sprint. It's 4:52, time for the afternoon sprint. The Dane County Sheriff's Office has now confirmed a Madison man was shot last night at about 7:30 in the town of Blooming Grove. The 24-year-old victim was driving south on Gannon Avenue when a car sped up behind him. As the victim tried to turn right, he was hit by gunfire and crashed.
The U.S. Embassy in Mexico is telling American tourists that are stranded there to continue sheltering in place. It comes after Mexican special forces killed the leader of Mexico's most powerful drug cartel. It's affecting Wisconsinites who traveled recently to Puerto Vallarta. We'll have more on their story coming up tonight at 10.
A threat that prompted a shelter-in-place and evacuation order during a college track meet on Saturday has been deemed a swatting call. At UW Parkside in Kenosha, officials sent out an alert telling people to evacuate or shelter in place. Officials later determined the threat was fake and there was no active danger.
A family and their dog are safe this afternoon, but out of their home after a fire on Madison's southeast side. When crews got there, they saw fire from the first floor window. Crews put out the fire quickly and released the family's dog into the backyard safely.
And here's a look at your 10-day forecast. We're going to have high temperatures mostly in the 30s and 20s with a brief spike in the temperatures Friday where we could be in the lower 50s. We'll see a small, very quick chance of snow tomorrow. Better chance will come Wednesday night, but most of Wednesday will be sunny and a lot of that will clear out before sunrise Thursday. So just some overnight snows possible Wednesday. More snow possible once we get towards the first half of next week, Sunday and Monday. But certainly not going to see quite as much as parts of the Northeast, and we're going to continue to be relatively dry in the snowfall department, even despite these next few snow chances.
All right, thank you, Jacob. We'll be right back.
Coming up at 5, the Portage School District is asking voters to approve a referendum that would bring in more than $11 million without raising taxes. And a Supreme Court decision on some of President Trump's tariffs are adding confusion for producers and consumers. We'll have a look at what that decision means and what future tariffs we could possibly see. Thanks for joining us today on Live at 4. We'll see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. And you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 Now at 5 starts now.